This is a thought that I've had many times throughout the last 5 to 7 years, and I think I've not figured it out for all that time, but I figured it out for this current iteration of the thought. And the thought is that I feel like I have a lot of ideas and interests and tastes and things I enjoy and things I want to put into the world. And just a desire to make and work on things that I'm interested in. But I realized over a conversation late this winter, or late this fall, I realized in a conversation this December that I don't know specifically what I want to create in the world. Where I have a lot of interest, but I don't have specific goals and specific visions for what those interests, how I want them to manifest. And I feel somewhat like I have some type of purpose that I feel really strongly about, that I want to be working on, I want to be doing. But when it comes down to brass tacks about like what, all right, you got your purpose, let's get working. I realize that I don't know exactly where to start on that front. And that idea, or that realization that I don't really know what I want to be working on, was a little bit scary to me, because I thought to myself, well, if I don't know what purpose I have, well, it can't be that real, can it? And I think that's not true. I think it can be real. And idea I've heard repeated a few times recently is making me think that there is a way to work through the feeling of like kind of purposelessness, while that with that strong urge, like to reconcile the strong urge to like do and create and feel inspired and interested with a sense of not knowing how to apply it or where to apply it. Yes, long-winded, but I think that the solution to that, and the idea that I've heard recently and trying to implement in my life, is the idea of leaning into the interests that you have. And so this boils down to not worrying about having everything figured out right away, and just kind of noticing and taking the time to self-reflect, and taking the time to recognize your interests and what piques your interests and what makes you feel fulfilled, and consciously leaning into those interests and consciously leaning into those opportunities when they arise. And by leaning, I mean just doing a little bit more work, picking a few things related to that main core kernel of interest, and doing a little bit of those nearby activities, or those nearby items of work. Once you do that work on those nearby things, you look again and say, which of those drove me the most interest, which of them did I see results from, which of them did I feel fulfilled from, and continuing to push into those directions. And I think this is probably a very common self-help type idea, but it wasn't really something that I had considered until recently, until like this last couple months. And so I'm Hamza. I graduated university in April, so less than a year ago. I started my first full-time job in New York City this September, and I just wanted to kind of document like how I have been leaning into those things that I'm interested in. And really what it boils down to is going into the next forward part of my life, 23 now. I'm a real man. It's crazy to me. I want to be applying myself and taking things seriously, applying my skills that I've developed through my interests. And so I want to use this idea of leaning into my interests to get some real things done that I feel proud of and feel like make the world more what I want it to be. Maybe like make things that are useful for others. and make things that I can rely on myself for. And so, yes, this last 4 months, I moved to New York City. I'm doing my day job. I think my day job has a big part of what I want to be working on with my life. But a really big part of myself has always been, so I'm in the tech field, but art and writing music and producing music and writing just like narratives and essays has always been from when I was a wee lad, probably like fifth grade, something like that, has been writing and has been very important to me. And throughout my life, I've taken a step back from it and steps forward in it. And every time I take a step back for too long, I realize like I can feel myself becoming more upset and more like displeased with my day-to-day life, even when things are going well. And I think it's because there is some core part of me that really wants to write about the things that matter to me. I remember in my first semester of my first year of university, I was really locking into school. I wanted to do well. I wanted to work out all the time. I wanted to do all my homework, get a job, because I needed to get a job within 4 months of starting university, which is kind of radical, but that's neither here nor there. So I locked in for all these months, and by the end of it, I was trying to write a couplet, two lines that rhymed, that sounded good, and that told an interesting idea. And I was looking at my notebook paper, and my brain could not muster anything. It's just because I hadn't worked on it and I hadn't practiced my writing in months, and I did not spend any time thinking about it. And when I noticed that I lost that ability at that moment, I felt really upset. And it kind of like kicked off the alarm to be like, make sure that you don't go for too long without doing this. Don't like go too long without saying hi to your old friend, basically. And so, same idea coming into moving to New York City. I really want to make sure that taking like now that I'm done with school, now that I have a full-time job, there's nothing that I need to be working towards. I need to be doing well at my job. But beyond that, there's no graduation date, and there's no next semester of classes, and there's no, next like thing to sign up for to learn. It's all on me now, and so I have been wanting to make a conscious effort to not let myself just let myself like not work on those things that I'm interested in. So for the past 4 months, every day, mostly, before work, I've been waking up about an hour earlier than I need to. So around like 7:30 maybe, take the bus for half an hour to get to close to my office, and then I'll go to a coffee shop right next to my office from around 8 a.m. to 9 to get my latte, iced latte if it's above 15 degrees Celsius. It's not above 15 degrees Celsius right now. It's cold as heck. And I'll open up my Microsoft Word document, and kind of the way that I've been getting into the writing again without feeling pressure is just the same concept of leaning. I just have been thinking about like what idea is interesting to me right now, taking time to notice it like consciously, and then getting cracking on it. So a lot of that has been about my experiences in university, just because that was the most fresh and recent on my mind. And I've been writing these little short essays about my time at school. And none of them have been published yet. And none of them have been like polished. Well, some of them have been like vaguely edited. And I still feel like I gained a lot from doing that, from this little first lead. Because now I have a Word document folder full of ideas of things about my life that I've thought through and tried to find the interesting idea from. And this gives me another great point to start leaning into the direction of my interests from. Because I have like these like 20 little, couple paragraphs about different like ideas and different activities I got into. And I have ones that piqued my interest more and that felt more fulfilling to write. So now I can lean and push and, finish up good drafts of those essays. And it's been really fun because this habit of like going to the coffee shop before work has also got me to get more used to writing often. And so I've been writing a lot more quickly and with a lot more, the ideas have been flowing more freely. And it is something that I feel like is new to me. I have liked to write before, but I haven't done it often before, and I'm starting to feel more like a real writer, which is a really important thing. I realized that early on, that identity and feeling like you are the activity, you are the type of person to do the activity you want to, is such a big drive. And so now I've felt like a writer for the last 4 months, and that's kind of what I gained from it, even though nothing has been published yet. There's this line by J. Cole in a song that he sang, where he said, "In his mind, he's rich from shit he done wrote," um, which is kind of a funny idea because he hasn't made, at this perspective, he hasn't made any songs yet, he hasn't made any money, but he's rich from the ideas and the things that he's written and the vision that he has. And so it's a little bit of a cope, but it is a very comforting cope to lean on, especially when you have gotten through some ideas and gotten through some writing. Yeah. And on the music side of things, which is another really big part of how I express myself artistically, that is a bit harder to batch in small, like, working sessions before work. And so I've been taking mostly evenings and days on the weekend to, again, like, sit in my room or go to a park or go to a coffee shop, put my beats on my headphones, and then either, like, work on some of the beats that I'm trying to produce or work on writing the lyrics, like the choruses and the verses of these songs that I'm working on. And that has always been an interest for me. And so leaning into music for me is less about getting ideas out and getting kind of like first drafts done. And I think the thing that is really interesting to me now is learning how to polish and learning how to engage my vocals more, my vocal performance, to make it more pleasing to the ear. And I still am able to find the time for that because luckily, I just got 9 to 5, off work at 5, and I have the whole evening to, sing to myself quietly in the corner of a coffee shop. In October, we had a day off of work that I didn't know about. I showed up to the office and they said, "Go home. We're not working today." And so I got my latte. I went to the park in Madison Square, and I just wrote a verse. I wrote a verse to a J. Cole beat that I really liked. And that verse, over the next couple of weeks of kind of working on it on nights and weekends, became a entire 2 minutes of a freestyle on this beat. And I recorded that when I went back to Canada when I had a week off of work. And I even came back and I filmed a short music video for it. And I had all these types of ideas for this music video to be something really grand and really... not grand. I had ideas for the music video to be somewhat complex, more than just setting up a camera, and I found that I didn't have the energy or the kind of expertise for that yet. I don't even have my editing software on my computer right now. I canceled my subscriptions because we're saving that money. But I still filmed something that told the idea that I wanted it to, and I got it together, and getting a finished product and being able to post that felt really rewarding, and it felt like I leaned and then pushed through and fell into a little clearing in the woods, based on intuition. I just wanted to get this song done, and getting it out felt really good. And this song specifically has been something that I have listened to since I made it, while I've been struggling and felt stressed. And since I wrote it about working through those feelings, it was able to remind me how I worked through them the last time, and it made it feel more comfortable. And that was kind of another watershed moment for me, where I thought, wow, I was working on this song because it was interesting to me at the time, and it led to making a tool for me that helps me now, going forward, work through tough times again, which I've never felt like I'd done before. And so that really gave me confidence in that little aspect of my writing. And it was just another indicator that leaning can lead you to good places. And yeah, now it's, January 2025. And I want to continue with this idea and this kind of lifestyle of leaning into the work that I want to do and that I find interesting. And so, yeah, it's been a great way to build consistency. It's been great to feel okay with the intermediate steps of art and of writing and of just general life things, like working out too. And feeling okay with those intermediate steps is really, really valuable. Um, and it's also helpful to develop a feedback loop to know what's working and what I want to change, because I feel like I'm growing stronger with every step. But being able to recognize what I'm interested in and continuing to course correct, I think is going to be very useful going forward and has been useful in the last little bit. And yeah, so yeah, I think the constraint of having limited time now that I started work is counterintuitively very helpful because you take better care of the time that you do have. And so at least for now, I'm happy with how it's working. And whenever, those mornings of writing stop being useful, I'll find another thing to spend my mornings doing. And just keep leading to where I want to go.